Welcome back to Unpacking Me, the parts of trauma no one talks about. I'm Nikki Cameron, trauma recovery therapist, and someone who's learned firsthand that healing changes how you see everything.
And I'm your co-host, Murnell, bringing honesty, curiosity, millennialism, and a voice for all of us who are learning to make sense of what shapes us.
Today, we're unpacking a big one, navigating the trauma lens. Just think a rose colored lens, a filter. Because once you've been through pain, your nervous system and mind, they don't just move on. They adapt, they pivot. And sometimes what you think is your truth is really trauma's way of filtering your world, the world, and others around you. Well, what's the trauma lens? Let's start with that. Well, when we say trauma lens, it's really how your brain and body learn to interpret life after being harmed. It's your protective filter. So your brain is now learning to prioritize protecting you over allowing you to connect to others around you, your community, the people you love. You may even start to feel like people can see your shame, your weakness, your inadequacies. And like a turtle, you start to retreat into your shell. It says, don't trust too quickly. Don't let anyone in. Stay small. And let's prepare for disappointment by sabotaging.
Yep.
Read every room before you breathe. And that is flipping exhausting. But again, this is how your brain, your nervous system, your body, your whole system has reorganized the way it functions to prioritize protecting you.
Yes. And I want to add, it doesn't mean that you're broken. A lot of the times I have people say to me, "Well, I'm something's wrong with me, or I'm antisocial, or I'm broken." It doesn't mean that you're broken, but what it does mean is that your nervous system is just saying, "I just want to be cautious." Or I don't like people because of all the pain that I've experienced with them.
Understandably so.
Exactly. So, but really, that's the trauma lens doing its job, trying to protect you from getting hurt again. And that's what it looks like. So I just wanted to point that out before we kept on going.
Yes. It doesn't mean you're broken, but it sure as hell feels like you're broken.
Yeah.
It feels like everything has been shattered. And really, what has happened is your level of consciousness, the way you look at things, parts of yourself has now been shattered. And for some of us, for some individuals, they've always felt this way. Because if you were in your mother's womb and your mother was experiencing hell while she was pregnant, unfortunately and fortunately,
both,
your nervous system learned to develop to accommodate the drama, the trauma,
yeah.
the stress, right? Just so you could survive. And many times individuals will say, I've never felt calm. I don't know what calm means.
Right.
I don't know what it means to thrive or strive, because when they came into this world, when their parents delivered or their mothers delivered them, they were born into an environment where the stress continued and continued and continued. And babies, children's brains, their system, their nervous system, it is going to organize itself to survive the chaos.
Right at the womb.
Yes. And it's important for us to know that it's not bad, it's adaptive.
Yes.
And when it comes to only seeing things one way, or understanding that it unfortunately can block your joy, It blocks intimacy and it blocks peace because, again, all your body and your brain gives a rat's ass about is keeping you
Keeping you
safe.
safe, keeping you alive.
So your brain starts to prioritize protecting over connecting and unfortunately organizes in a way that ends up causing more problems for you. So you want to connect to people, the people you love more than anything else, but it feels so unsafe, especially if those individuals are not attuned to you. They're not connected to you in a way you're constantly feeling misunderstood, unheard, invalidated. It just makes it worse. And let's talk about how it shows up. This filter, the rose colored lens, the trauma lens. Well, it looks like seeing silence as rejection.
That's a big one.
I call you, you don't call me back.
That's a big one, yeah.
And my brain automatically goes into rejection or abandonment.
Yeah.
So, for individuals who've experienced a series of abandonment from childhood or even in adulthood, if that wound was never healed, if there was no space being made to process the pain associated with that rejection or abandonment, that experience gets triggered all over again when similar situations are experienced. It can also look like reading criticism as a confirmation that you're not enough. I was sharing with a colleague yesterday that one point when I would be given feedback about the quality of my work, the only thing I heard, the minute whatever it is that was said was unfavorable, the only thing I heard from that was, you're not good enough. You're a failure. And that did not feel good in my body. And then I would go home and ruminate over it, and the racing thoughts would come and they would play over and over again. It can also look like feeling unsafe, even when there's no unsafety, when there's no threat. The environment is calm, but I don't feel calm inside. It feels like a damn tornado, like a whirlwind inside of my body. My mind is just going, 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 racing, assuming good things will eventually fall apart. Never forget, I had someone say to me once, you you don't understand. I can't allow myself to be happy because I was always told as a kid that if you get happy, you should expect disaster to come.
Yeah, if you're too happy,
Yeah, if you're too happy. So many people, because of what they were taught, these messages of fear that were communicated to them or passed down to them, has now left them in a state of hypervigilance, paranoia, fear that they don't deserve to have happiness, or happiness typically is followed with disaster.
It can also look like projection as well,
Mm-hmm.
looking at the circumstance and going, well, this is what's going to happen, like that predicting because I don't feel safe in that situation. And I've also found that it looks like comparison. Comparing me and comparing you, comparing the situation to another situation I've been in, all the ways our brain is trying to keep us safe. And so it can also show up in relationships. And I think people don't oftentimes see that, but it's like waiting for the person to leave before they even leave.
Yeah.
And just waiting for the person to hurt you before they even hurt you. Or what I find sometimes is attempting to control the person because I don't want to get hurt. And so there's a lot of, I'm gonna cling to you, I'm gonna be on your phone all the time, calling you, making sure I know all your whereabouts, so that I can control the situation so that I don't get hurt. Or never believing you're truly loved.
No matter how many times you're told.
Or no matter how much the person proves it or shows up based on what you've asked for, and saying, no, they don't love me because they didn't do it this way. I was looking for another way. Because our definition of love is not, we are not recognizing how we're asking compared to how we're showing up.
That is so true. This trauma lens really teaches us to be suspicious, always having to be on the lookout, right?
Yeah.
And we start to do things to sabotage. Sometimes, just kind of adding on to what you just said, it looks like me wanting that reassurance and testing the security I have in the relationship by picking fights.
Yeah.
If my way of attaching to in other past relationships or caregivers was through constant drama or trauma, constantly fighting or being criticized, believe it or not, when you move on to new relationships, you will find yourself unknowingly picking fights.
Yep.
Because when we pick fights, what's going on?
The person returned that energy.
Right.
This
You're getting
connection.
attention.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important to understand that the suspicion comes up. And when you've been around chaos and chaos was consistent, the chaos starts to feel familiar. And when it's too calm, the calm starts to feel unfamiliar,
yeah,
overwhelming,
yes,
right? Uncertain, and might trigger anxiety and cause people to start lashing out, wanting, not again, not always knowingly, but it's their way of getting certainty. I've had individuals say to me, if I'm not in a relationship and we're not involved in fights or they don't hit me, I don't feel loved.
Father God.
Yes. I have had women say this to me.
Wow.
Yes. And so for many, it's easy to jump in and criticize and not understand the why behind it, right?
This is the trauma.
Our brains are so complex in the way it's structured. And our brain will always, always, always do what's necessary for our survival, even if it's not rational.
Well, it makes sense, right? Because that's the chaos that I know.
Yes.
And I don't know the silence, or I don't know the peace.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
peace becomes more threatening.
Yes. And the trauma lens is also based on your past experiences. So it's based on your past, but it filters it for the now. So you're taking things that have happened in the past, not realizing it, to determine how your now is going to unfold and how the future is going to unfold. And I like to add, it's important to recognize that just because you perceive something doesn't make it true or reality based. Some of us are living in a fantasy world that doesn't match the
reality
world, the reality world. And this is why it's important to get support for yourself and look for evidence to back up the assumptions that you're making. Even when you meet healthy people, you might find you misinterpret them through old data, thinking they're gonna abandon me, they only like me because they want something from me.
Right.
And you might even find yourself only focusing on what's different about them.
Yes.
Things that they do wrong. Never making any space to observe similarities. What do we have similar going on? What can I resonate with? What your brain is doing is filtering in order to try to keep you safe by focusing on what could go wrong, what is going wrong. And this is exhausting because it's shifting you back and forth. Fight, flight, freeze, fight, flight, freeze. Your energy systems get exhausted after a while because your thoughts are going, which is why talk therapy alone isn't sufficient.
Yeah.
Because the minute I hear someone come into me and they start using words like I can't, or I have to, and they sound so convicted with it, I normally want to pause and find out what's going on with their nervous system, because the more dysregulated someone is, the more irrational their thoughts often are, the more overwhelmed someone is, oftentimes the more irrational their thoughts can be in how they're perceiving the situation.
Right, because it's the body self-protecting them. There's that looking for the threat before the threat even happened. So how can I know you're a threat if I'm not paying attention to the things that I have known to threaten me?
Yeah.
And so in those situations, we put up walls, we're emotionally guarded.
Yeah.
And we love avoided. So if somebody's trying to love us, we kind of avoid that. It's like looking through a fog, but you don't even know the fog is there. I always explain it to my clients, and I have these blue light glasses. So
Mm-hmm.
they have a yellow tint to them
Mm-hmm.
because when you look at the computer, they filter out the blue light.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I would ask my clients to wear it to
Mm-hmm.
explain, how do you see the world now? They're like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit yellow. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's what trauma does.
Mm-hmm.
It puts on a lens, and so you start to filter life through that lens,
Mm-hmm.
not realizing you're wearing this lens.
Yeah. And it goes back to, I often talk about tunnel visioning.
Mm.
When someone has experienced a traumatic event that leaves them feeling helpless, hopeless, alone in it, and fearful for their lives, our brain tends to take on this tunnel vision effect, where I can only see what people could do or are doing to hurt me,
Mhm, mhm.
and I can only focus on the pain I feel, and it doesn't allow the individual to see the good that is happening around them, the good they themselves are doing, or the parts of the person that is good to them or continues to be good to them. Hell, it even causes individuals to be disconnected from parts of themselves,
Yeah,
associated,
definitely
resent
interesting.
or hate or be ashamed of parts of themselves, not realizing that this fog is not necessarily who you are. It's what has
Happened
happened to
to
you.
you, yes.
So in working with individuals, I'm very big on helping people to realize that it's important for you to first start by regulating your system. And many individuals, unfortunately, when they come to therapy, they just want to talk because they've never had a space where they were heard,
Mm,
that felt safe. And I get it. And I'm always glad to make space for that, but we also need to make space for your body
your
to be
body.
heard
Hmm.
and your body to be supported, because the more regulated your body is, whether it's through tapping or breath work or havening or EMDR, the more clarity we will have in being able to start allowing that frame, that those lens, the trauma lens, to lift. So the way out isn't forcing yourself to be positive. It's not, because we don't want toxic positivity.
Right,
It's awareness. Notice when you feel unsafe, even when there's no danger,
right.
and start asking, looking for evidence. Is this my current reality? Or is this from an old wound that is resurfacing now?
Mm.
Learn to ground your body before you interpret your environment. Notice how your body's feeling. If you're hella anxious or feeling overwhelmed, chances are you're going to interpret in a way that prioritizes your protection, and your perception might be distorted.
You know, that's very important to know that, because the body keeps a score.
Mm-hmm,
Many of us try to think our way out of trauma,
mm-hmm,
and the trauma lens actually lives within our body.
mm-hmm.
The brain, the head cannot do without the body cannot do without the head.
They are in
They
community.
need to be in community, they need to talk. You can't just logic your way into peace, you have to feel your way into safety as well. So there
Yes,
is that aspect
yes.
of the body is very important. So yeah, just to kind of piggyback of that, talk therapy sometimes, in most times in
Mm-hmm,
these trauma situations,
mm-hmm.
is not enough.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And many people don't realize your body is always listening to you.
Always.
Your body listens, your body feels, your skin also can sense
Mm-hmm.
things, your nervous system sense things. So if you have this deep resentment and hate and shame towards your body and your whole being, it is going to show up in different ways. It can show up with stomach issues, fatigue. I'm not saying that's the only reason for it, but really pause and ask yourself, how do I feel about me?
Mm-hmm.
How do I feel about parts of me? What parts of me do I feel resentment toward?
Mm.
Do I resent my body, especially for those of us who've had medical issues due to recurring toxic stress? Like, if you and your body have a love hate relationship and there's no room left for compassion, then you're going to have some problem, right?
Yeah.
We need help from our body and parts of us to help our system rewire. If it feels safe, Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think about one situation recently where you felt triggered or misunderstood. Now ask yourself, what was I actually afraid of? Was this fear based on the present moment? Or was it just reflecting something from the past? Just notice. This noticing is the beginning of freedom.
It really is. And I just want to remind us, you don't have to judge yourself for having the lens. You just need to know when it's coloring the view.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important to remember.
Mm-hmm. And healing, it doesn't mean that you'll never be triggered again.
Say that again.
Healing doesn't mean you won't be triggered, or in other words, activated again.
Mm-hmm.
It's just having an understanding that the lens that you are viewing life through, the trauma lens, it's active.
Yes.
And choosing not to let it influence all your decision.
Yes.
Right? And I invite you to not judge yourself. It's there to protect you. If when your body starts to feel safe,
Mm-hmm.
when your nervous system starts to feel safe, I promise you will start to shift out of those colored lens. You will start to see life more clearly. And I want to warn you though, for some people, shifting out of the trauma lens, taking them off, it's jolting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is jolting and will shock the hell out of you when you realize your reality. I've had individuals when they were trapped in a trauma vortex, which is another episode we should probably do on trauma vortex. When they were trapped in a trauma vortex, they made huge life decisions like get married,
Yep.
relocate, make big purchases or other decisions. And when they finally shifted out of it,
They're like, oh,
the regrets,
yes.
the anger, the fear, because now you're learning to orient to reality.
Reality. Mm.
Now you're not in the trauma vortex anymore. As drama, right? Now you're not in that trauma vortex anymore, and you switched over into the healing vortex, and you're seeing things with more clarity. It may jolt you, and you need time to orient to being in reality and understand that it doesn't mean that again that you're broken. It just simply means that clarity is healing, and compassion will help you stay clear. Don't beat up on yourself.
I love that. I love that trauma vortex episode. I can't wait to do it.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in and unpacking this with us.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, your lens was built to protect you, not to punish you.
Even though it feels like
Even
it.
though it feels like it. And you can honor it and still outgrow it.
You know, one of the best ways I would say, to manage this, start being curious.
Curiosity is the key to
everything.
everything.
Start to be curious and start to watch yourself when you're in the company of others, and how you feel and how you're experiencing them and how you're experiencing you. Listen to the feedback they're giving, look for evidence, and understand that there is a possibility that how you're taking the world in, people in, and yourself in, that you're seeing it through a lens, and you get to start clearing it. You get to change it.
I love that. If this conversation resonates with you, share it with somebody who's learning to see themselves beyond their survival story.
Yes.
And until next time, be kind to yourself because you deserve it.